First thing, today, the video is going up July 1st. In real time, I am on my way to Kansas City to play poker for today, Friday, and tomorrow, Saturday. But July 1st, that means June is finished. So I bet I played the most hours at the Horseshoe Council Bluffs in the month of June, despite 3 days not playing, despite another day driving to Colorado, despite a 5th day driving into town and only getting 3 hours before we closed that night. So despite those 5 days that totaled 3 hours, I bet I played the most. I know how many hours I played. I'll put them up on the screen because I'm filming this in advance. My guess, or not my guess, my question to you, how many hours do you think the second most player played in the month of June? So Bravo has this functionality. When I get back from Kansas City, I'm gonna ask a floor that I think is willing to look this up and has the capability of looking this up. How many hours did the top player play? And it'll be me. And then I'll ask, I don't need to know the name, but who was second on that list? How many hours of play did second place get? And that's what I want to ask you. In a local room where some people play daily, but it's usually the older people, some people play like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and play all night. How many do you think, you know, the top person plays without me in town? Who would have been first place? So I'll ask, and we'll find out the answer in a few days or so. When I get back on July 3rd, I'll ask somebody. But today, the main thing I wanted to tell you about was a story of money loaned in the poker room. Such a bad idea. Okay, the players in this story. One, I'm gonna call him Loaner, L-O-A-N-E-R, because he loaned the money. Second guy, I'm gonna call Spoiled Brat, because he's a jerk, and you'll tell from this story, in addition to that, he's gotten ejected from here for sneaking his own alcohol in, and he also angles all the time. Finally got called out for it the other night. And all this information, by the way, I'm getting firsthand from Loaner. He's told me a lot of this. So, the Spoiled Brat asks Loaner for $450, says he'll pay him back. Loaner gives him the $450. Loaner starts asking him for the $450 back, you know, days later. I don't know exactly what date the transaction happened, but he starts asking for it back. The guy tells him a story. He says there's another guy who comes into the room sometimes who's well known to be a drug dealer, apparently. He needed the money. He needed the $450. He didn't want to ask Loaner because he knew Loaner would say no. So he asked Spoiled Brat to ask Loaner for the money. Spoiled Brat claims he handed the $450 to the drug dealer right away after he got it. He's really just the middleman. He's not a part of this, which is so stupid. So he's saying, you know, it's the drug dealer who owes you. And Loaner is saying, I don't care what you did with the money. You asked me for the $450. You're paying me back the $450. Where is it? So the Spoiled Brat, who's here every day, by the way, he bleeds money in poker. He plays baccarat. I don't know how much he loses. He must be losing in that. Also, don't get the sense that he earned any of this money in his life. There are guys who definitely seem to have, and they act differently. Like, a lot of people play baccarat. A lot of people play poker 2-5 if it runs, 2-3 if it runs. They play very fast and loose. You could tell the people who have been handed the money and the people who worked for it. Anyway, I doubt this guy actually earned any of this money. So he's trying to say that drug dealer is really the guy who owes him. Well, last night we're playing, and I'm at the same table as Loaner. At the other table is Spoiled Brat, and he does this thing. He's done it before. He hasn't been called out on it until now. He'll get to showdown and he'll say a hand he doesn't have. It's not a mistake. He's trying to get the guy to fold. He'll have like one pair, but there's like so many red cards out there. He'll say flush when he turns his cards over. Well, a guy at the other table really took offense to that and started yelling at him. After that, he got up from the table. He was up so long, which he does whether or not he gets called out for being a jerk. And they picked him up. Well, when he comes back, the next seat that opens is at my table. Loaner is also at my table. They seat him right next to Loaner. He owes this guy $450. He still shows up every day, doesn't pay the guy, and now they're sitting right next to each other. So very quickly, I think Spoiled Brat bluffs in a hand and takes it down, and he says something like, yeah, you know, you've been playing poker as long as me, which, first of all, I'll stop the story right there. He hasn't played for that long. I never saw him in my life when I lived here for 3 years leading up to the quarantine, and I've only seen him since I've been back. My guess is he started playing poker like a year and a half ago, and my guess is in a year and a half he'll never be playing poker again. But he says, yeah, you've been playing poker as long as me, and you gotta lie sometimes. Which is funny he says that, because he lied at the last table at Showdown saying he had a flush when he didn't, and he got called out for it. And now he's sitting right next to a guy that he said he would pay back $450, and he isn't. But, so that was a really bad word choice, he says. Loner, like, perks up when he says that and looks right at him and says, oh, really? Because he said, I guess what he said was, yeah, you gotta lie sometimes. When you're playing, not off the table. I don't lie off the table. That's when Loner perked up and said, really? You don't lie off the table? Spoiled Brat says, come on, man. Don't give me any of this. I told you I would pay you back later. He took $450 from the guy, won't pay him back, and he's mad at that guy. So, yes, he's definitely a jerk and a spoiled brat. So, he didn't play for that long, and he left. But before he left, we got some details on when this is supposed to be final. It's Monday, like in real time for me right now. It's Monday the 27th. On Wednesday, apparently, drug dealer is showing up. He's supposed to pay Loner the $450. If he doesn't show up, spoiled brat has said, oh, I'll pay you out of my pocket even if he doesn't show up on Wednesday. I told Loner, my guess is the drug dealer, there's no chance he's showing up, and spoiled brat is going to have some incredibly stupid, convoluted story why he still isn't paying him yet, and he never will pay him. So we're going to see. All three of us will be here on Wednesday. I'm here every day. Loner is going to be here Wednesday to get his payment, and spoiled brat is here every day, even though he owes people and people hate him and he angles and he gets called out for it. He can't help. He's really just addicted to gambling, and uses what I would guess is one or several trust funds to support this habit of his. So we're all going to be here Wednesday.